Hello, I'd like to bring to you a fairy tale called Peter and the Wolf. Once upon a time, in a land called Russia, there lived a little boy named Peter. He lived with his grandfather in a pretty little wooden house. One day, Peter wanted to go for a walk. He walked out of his grandfather's garden, leaving the gate wide open. Not far away, there grew a huge tree where Peter found his friend, a little bird. As the gate was open, the duck, which belonged to Peter's grandfather, decided to go for a swim in the pond. The little bird landed near the pond's edge and started making fun of the duck. "I always see you swimming or walking," the bird said. "But what kind of a bird are you if you can't fly?" "And what about yourself? What kind of a bird are you if you can't swim?" answered the duck. And they continued to argue, each wanting to have the last say in the matter. Not far away, a cat was prowling. Very carefully and silently, the cat weaved its way through the tall grass. "Oh, what lovely twittering, such pretty chirping," he thought to himself as he listened to the bird. "I think I have found a most delicious lunch." He drew closer and closer to the pond. "Be careful!" shouted Peter. The bird barely had time to fly up onto the branch of a tree. The duck, who had remained in the middle of the pond, quacked loudly and angrily at the cat. The cat, with its eye on the bird, was wondering, "Is it worth the effort of climbing that tree just to catch that wretched bird? By the time I get up there, it is bound to have flown away." Just then, Peter's grandfather came out of the house. "Peter," he shouted angrily, "I have asked you not to leave the garden. What if the wolf suddenly appeared? Come back inside immediately." Peter thought he was certainly big enough to go and play where he wanted. Wolves had stopped frightening him a long time ago, but his grandfather took him by the hand and led him toward the house, carefully closing the garden gate behind them. It was lucky that he did so, for a moment later a huge wolf emerged from the thick forest. Petrified, the cat leapt onto the branch of the tree, but the poor duck flopped out of the pond, quacking loudly. The wolf, who had seen it, was quite determined to catch it. "Yum, yum," he thought. "I am going to have a feast." The duck could feel the wolf right on his heels. The wolf was about to swallow him, and it gobbled the duck down in one mouthful. But the wolf was still hungry. He began to prowl around the tree. On one side of the tree, he could see the cat, still perched on a branch, trembling from tip to tail. On the other side was the small bird, motionless on its branch. Through the garden gate, Peter was watching the scene. He wasn't the slightest bit afraid. A high wall ran around the garden, and the tree was just on the other side. One of the branches leaned over the wall, and Peter had an idea. Grabbing hold of the branch, he climbed into the tree with the little bird. "Listen to me carefully," he said to the bird. "You must do exactly as I say. You must fly above the wolf's head and twist and turn in the air. But you must stay close to the tree and be careful. Make sure he doesn't catch you." Peter climbed back down the tree into the garden. He ran to the house to fetch a thick rope and made a lasso. In the meantime, the bird was flying just above the wolf's menacing jaws. How the wolf wanted to eat it! Peter, back in the tree, spun the lasso above his head and aimed for the wolf's gaping jaws. And, as if by magic, the rope settled around the wolf's neck. Peter quickly pulled on the rope to tighten the knot and tied the other end to a branch. The wolf was trapped. At that moment, Peter saw 3 hunters coming out of the forest on the wolf's trail. They had been following the beast for days. "Don't shoot," he shouted to them. "I've already caught the wolf. Come and help me take it to the zoo." And so Peter, followed by the 3 hunters, proudly marched to the nearby town. Behind them, Grandfather followed with the cat. Above their heads, the little bird joyfully sang a little song. And if you listened very carefully, you could hear a muffled voice saying, "Let me out of here! Let me out of here!" It was the duck that was quacking and moving around inside the wolf's belly. Luckily, once they arrived at the zoo, they managed to remove the duck from the wolf's belly and saved it from a terrible fate. Hope you enjoyed hearing this fairy tale. Like, comment, and subscribe for more. Goodbye. Hello, I'd like to bring to you a